Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. Follow the show on Twitter and Blue Sky at Cup of Joe Pod. Email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. You can support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. I am on Cash App and Venmo at the Joey Harris, and of course, Patreon. Patreon.com/babykangaroo media. Make sure that you sign up through the website. It will save you money because the iOS app adds fees because Apple is taking a percentage of anything signed up through the app. So make sure that you use patreon.com/babykangaroo media. Bonus episodes of the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, the Joey Harris Super Show, the Green Room, the Book Club Baristas, and so much more. The Artist Corner with TJ, just $5 a month for hours of extra content. And folks, we are back just right up here at the start. I would like to send out my deepest condolences to some wrestlers who have passed away. Independent wrestler Vince Steele, Rico Suave, aka Julio Domingo Estrada, and of course to Bill Mercer, longtime World Class Championship Wrestling announcer, passed away yesterday as I record this at the age of 99. So our deepest condolences go out to the friends and fans and family to those three men. As today we look at Heatwave 1995 from ECW. Heatwave 95 took place on July the 15th, 1995 from the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There were 1,000 in attendance. We start out with TVMA and technical difficulties intros. We then get our Heatwave intro. Bill Alphonso was in the ring. You can't understand him. The mic work is just awful right here at the beginning. He gets cut off by Todd Gordon. He offers to fight Alphonso. Alphonso says he will close ECW. Gordon attacks Alphonso, wrestlers out to break it up, and the crowd chants, "Let him go." Mikey Whipwreck versus Mike Norman. They call Norman Stormin' Norman. He has the early advantage. Whipwreck comes back. He hits Norman with a tope on the outside. He misses a drop kick when Norman holds the ropes. Norman attacks Whipwreck in the corner. They spill to the outside, and Norman hits a double axe handle from the second rope. Fans chanting out derogatory things at Norman. Whipwreck runs Norman into a barricade, back and forth. The derogatory chant starts again. Norman hits a plancha on Whipwreck on the outside. Whipwreck comes back with a Frankie Mikey from the top rope to get the pin. ECW World Tag Team Championship match, Raven and Stevie Richards with Beulah versus Donnie Allen and Tony Stetson. Stetson and Richards start, and Stetson with a flurry of offense. Allen tagged in. Richards is not doing too good, but comes back with a drop kick and a clothesline. Raven tagged in and hit a DDT. Richards goes and starts making out with Francine, who is in the crowd. Raven DDTs Stetson. He comes out and grabs Richards as Beulah and Francine start to fight. Stetson and Allen win by countout, but Richards and Raven keep the titles. Richards and Raven beat up their opponents after the match. The Pitbulls come in and go after Raven and Richards. The Dudley Boys come out and go after the Pitbulls. Tommy Dreamer comes out and grabs Raven and brings him back to the locker room. Wrestlers are brawling all over. Stetson gets on the mic and says he and his partner want a rematch. He gets attacked by Raven. Raven and Richards hit DDTs on them. The Pitbulls and the Dudleys come back out. Dreamer comes out again and attacks Raven. Francine attacks the Pitbulls. Beulah comes out and attacks Francine, and it is a melee. Hack Myers versus Val Puccio. Puccio is again announced as Big Mally, and I am confused. Puccio tells Myers to bring it. He wants Myers to try and slam him. Myers tries but can't. Puccio beats Myers in the corner. Myers comes back with shots and a clothesline. They trade shots. Puccio with a corner splash. He hits a series of them. He hits another after Myers gets back to his feet. He picks Myers up and does it again. He hits a power slam. Myers rolls on an elbow drop and gets a quick pin to win. Puccio continues to attack Myers after the match. Raven and Stevie Richards come out. Tommy Dreamer has broken Raven's fingers. 6-man tag. Tommy Dreamer and the Pit Bulls with Luna Vachon versus Raven, Dudley, and Snot Dudley with Stevie Richards. They brawl all over. Pitbull 1 clothesline Snot to the outside. The action is intense. Dreamer suplexes Raven and drops the elbow. Dudley drop kicked by Pitbull 2. It goes outside and they brawl all over. Bill Alphonso out and tries to stop the match. It doesn't stop. The Pitbulls superbomb Richards. Beulah attacks Francine again. Superbomb to Snot, and the Pitbulls and Dreamer win the match. Eddie Guerrero and Taz with Paulie Dangerously versus Dean Malenko and Too Cold Scorpio. Scorpio and Taz start. They trade moves. Guerrero and Malenko in. This match has been clipped. They do some chain wrestling. Malenko and Guerrero in. Guerrero with a splash. More clipped action. Scorpio with a leg drop to Taz. He follows it up with a clothesline and an STF to Taz. Taz comes back with an armbar, back and forth. Scorpio with a splash. Malenko is in and works on the knee of Taz. Taz with a submission. Guerrero tagged in. Guerrero is popular with the crowd. More chain wrestling. Guerrero with a frog splash for a 2 count. The clips from this point look like the high points of the match. It spills to the outside. Paulie hits Scorpio with the phone and Taz hits a Tazplex to get the pin. Alphonso comes out to protest. Paulie pushes Alphonso. Scorpio and Malenko cover their opponents, and Alphonso makes the count. Paulie clears the ring and berates Alphonso. This whole skit involves Rob Feinstein, and it goes on way too long. 911 chokeslams Feinstein while Alphonso gets away. ECW World Heavyweight Championship match, the Sandman with Woman versus Axel Rotten. Sandman and Woman out first and do their entrance. Rotten comes out looking determined. Sandman whips Rotten with the cane to begin. Rotten rolls out to regroup. He goes back to the locker room and gets the barbed wire baseball bat. I swear if he drops it, I'm done. Sandman bails out to avoid the bat. Rotten gets on the mic and berates Sandman. He tells Sandman to get in and make it cane versus bat. Sandman rolls in. Rotten beats Sandman down with the bat. He gets Sandman down and rakes the face with the bat. He puts it down temporarily, but does pick it back up, so I'll give him a half pass on that one. Sandman hits a clothesline on Rotten and grabs the bat. He unravels some wire and wraps it around Rotten. Sandman drops an elbow on Rotten. Rotten thrown outside. Sandman dumps Rotten over the barricade. Sandman canes Rotten. He hits Rotten with a springboard senton. They trade blows. Rotten pulls Sandman's shirt up and chops Sandman. He digs the barbed wire into Sandman's flesh. Woman comes in. Rotten grabs her cane and canes Sandman with it. Sandman with a clothesline. Sandman with a top rope drop kick to get the pin. Cage match, Stevie Richards versus Luna Vachon. Richards is out and he is checking the cage. The crowd taunts Richards. Vachon comes out looking determined. They get in. Richards running to stay away from Vachon. She runs him into the cage. She does it several times. Richards is busted open. Vachon with a reverse bulldog and a swinging neckbreaker. Vachon is punishing Richards. Richards with a reverse atomic drop on Vachon. Back and forth. Vachon with a series of snapmares. Richards with a powerbomb on Vachon. Vachon with a clothesline and DDT on Richards for a 2 count. Richards with another powerbomb for a 2 count. Richards with a front face lock and another swinging neckbreaker. Vachon responds with a neckbreaker and a splash to Richards, but she pulls Richards up before the 3 count. She puts a testicular claw on and Richards submits. Pitbull 1 and Dudley fight to ringside. Raven enters the cage. He DDTs Vachon. Pitbull 2 gets in. Dreamer comes in. He attacks Raven. Dreamer hits a DDT on Raven. Dreamer in the cage with Raven and Richards after they get Vachon out. Dreamer attacks Raven, who is bleeding, and DDTs him on the chair. He handcuffs Raven to the cage, and then the chair shot heard around the world happens. The crowd chants ECW. That chair shot paid for itself, folks, over and over again. That chair shot was shown on the intro to ECW television. It paid for itself. Cage match. The Public Enemy, Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge versus the Gangstas, New Jack and Mustafa. The cage is full of weapons. Public Enemy come out first, and they are hugely popular with the crowd. The crowd gets on the Gangstas when they come out. The Gangstas are giving as good as they get. They get in and start brawling with all the weapons. The Gangstas ran into the cage. Public Enemy is using weapons against the Gangstas, including cookie sheets and a billy club. Rock ran into the cage. Grunge hits the Gangstas with the bat. Both members of Public Enemy ran into the cage. They trade shots all over. The Gangstas take over. Public Enemy fights back. Rock keeps trying to escape the cage but keeps getting prevented by the Gangstas. Public Enemy come back and forth. Rock misses the drive-by when New Jack moves. Rock goes to the top of the cage to do the drive-by on Mustafa, who moves and Grunge gets hit instead. Public Enemy opens the cage door to bring tables in. They set them up and stack them on each other. They put New Jack on the top table and Rock moonsaults New Jack through both tables from the top of the cage. Mustafa sprays Grunge in the eyes and pins him. The Gangstas leave the cage. Grunge is blinded and swinging wildly as they sign off from Philadelphia. Final thoughts. This was an okay show highlighted by the chair shot in the cage. You can follow me on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.